If I told you there was a way to never waste another second of your life, a way to reclaim your focus, rebuild your discipline, and finally feel at peace with how you spend your days, would you listen? Because that is the promise the Stoics made 2,000 years ago. They did not promise wealth or fame or a life without struggle. They promised mastery, not over the world, but over the self. They promised that if you could learn to control your attention, you would never again be a slave to time. And that is what this story is about. Not motivation, not success, but the quiet art of not wasting your life. Time does not vanish with noise or warning. It slips away softly, disguised as comfort, hidden behind the words, "just 5 more minutes." You have said it before, haven't you? 1,000 times maybe. And each time, a small piece of your life was traded away, not stolen, not taken, but willingly surrendered. Marcus Aurelius knew this feeling well. In his private journal, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Imagine writing those words not as a philosopher, but as a man at the edge of exhaustion, an emperor surrounded by chaos, whispering a reminder to himself, "Do not waste another breath." Seneca warned us that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Yet in a world built on distraction, how many hours have you lost to things that added nothing to your soul? The endless scroll, the quiet procrastination, the conversations that led nowhere. You tell yourself, it is normal, everyone does it. But deep down, you know what is slipping away. It is not time you are losing, it is meaning. It is the slow death of intention. The Stoics called this the great blindness, the tragedy of being alive but unaware. They believed that wasting time was worse than death, because death ends life once, but waste kills it slowly, every day. You can feel it, that dull ache when the sun sets and you realize you did not truly live today. You moved, you talked, you reacted, but you did not exist. That is why you are here now, because something inside you is tired of drifting. Something wants control again. The solution is not complex, but it demands everything from you. Marcus did not find discipline by avoiding chaos, he found it within it. Epictetus, once a slave, became freer than any emperor because he mastered his reactions. Zeno, shipwrecked and ruined, built Stoicism from the wreckage of his failure. They all faced the same truth. The only thing we truly own is our will, the choice of how to spend this breath, this minute, this life. And so the promise is this: if you learn to guard your time, you will guard your soul. If you master your attention, you will master your destiny. Every distraction you resist, every impulse you command, every silent decision to stay the course, it all becomes a brick in the fortress of your discipline. You do not build strength by waiting for peace, you build it by acting inside the storm. So before we begin the 7 Stoic lessons that follow, 7 truths that can forge your discipline and end your war with wasted time, remember this: you are not here by accident. You are here because you know something must change. You are here because you have seen what comfort costs. And from this moment on, every second will either build you or break you. This is not just philosophy, this is a decision. The decision to stop dying in fragments and start living with purpose. Discipline is not about control. It is about remembering that time, your time, is sacred.
Lesson 1. The discipline of beginning. Every great life begins the same way, with a single choice to start. Not tomorrow, not when it feels right, but now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you had 1,000 years to live. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." He was not speaking about morality alone, but about movement, about refusing to wait for the perfect moment because the perfect moment will never come. The Stoics believe hesitation is the first form of defeat. Every delay is a declaration that fear is in control. You know that feeling, standing at the edge of something new, your mind full of reasons to wait, the voice that says, "I am not ready yet. I will start when I have more time. I will begin when it feels right." That voice is not reason, it is resistance. It is the quiet death that disguises itself as logic. Seneca said, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." You do not need to be ready. You need to begin before you think you can. Epictetus taught that no great thing is created suddenly. A tree does not appear in a moment, it grows in silence, through seasons of discipline. But growth begins the instant you plant the seed. You are the same. Every day you wait to start is another day you bury your potential beneath excuses. The first step, no matter how small, breaks the chain of inaction. The Stoics did not speak of miracles. They spoke of motion. A man who acts imperfectly today is wiser than the man who plans endlessly for tomorrow. Think of all the hours you have lost to overthinking, to planning the perfect routine, the perfect system, the perfect beginning. All those plans mean nothing without movement. The Stoics would tell you, stop asking if you are capable. You become capable through the act itself. The courage to begin is the only proof you need. Because once you start, momentum takes over. The mind learns, the body adapts, the discipline grows. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, began his journey after losing everything in a shipwreck. Standing on the shore with nothing, he said, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered shipwreck." His beginning was born from disaster. That is the lesson. There is no ideal start. There's only the choice to act in the ruins, to move forward while others wait for certainty. The Stoic path is not about confidence, it is about direction. And so, the discipline of beginning is not about speed, it is about honesty. Look at your life. What have you postponed in the name of timing? What truth have you delayed because comfort felt safer? You cannot master your time until you master your start. Every day you wait to act, the gap between who you are and who you could be widens. The Stoics believe the universe favors the one who moves, the one who takes the first step while others still calculate. You do not need to see the whole path. You only need to step onto it. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The very obstacle that you fear most is the exact doorway through which discipline begins." So begin now. Not after this video, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Begin because life is already happening. Begin because you have wasted enough time waiting for certainty. The moment you take the first step, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than hesitation. And that proof will echo through every future choice you make. This is the first Stoic lesson. The discipline of beginning. Everything you want to become starts with the courage to act before you are prepared.
Lesson 2. The discipline of consistency. Starting is powerful, but staying the course is divine. The Stoics believe that greatness is not built in moments of fire, but in the quiet rhythm of daily effort. Seneca wrote, "Consistency is the greatest virtue. Anyone can act with passion for a day. The rare soul acts with purpose for a lifetime." The problem is not we cannot begin. The problem is that we begin too many times and finish too few. Discipline is not born in excitement. It is forged in repetition. Marcus Aurelius rose before dawn every day, not because he enjoyed it, but because he had trained himself to obey what was right instead of what was easy. In his meditations, he reminded himself, "At dawn, when you rise unwillingly, remember you rise to do the work of a human being." He spoke these words to his own fatigue, to his own resistance. He did not seek comfort, he sought command. You have felt this too. The first few days of commitment feel alive. You wake early, you write, you train, you study. But then the energy fades and the mind begins to whisper, "What's the point?" You look for results, and when they do not appear fast enough, you begin to bend your promises. That is the moment discipline is tested, not in the beginning, but in the middle, where progress hides and doubt grows. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be good, first believe that you are bad." He meant that discipline requires humility. You must accept that mastery demands time, that progress is invisible long before it is undeniable. The Stoics compared consistency to a sculptor's hand. Each strike of the hammer is small, almost meaningless, alone, but together they shape eternity. You are that sculptor, and your habits are your tools. Modern life rewards speed. The Stoics rewarded endurance. They taught that steady motion is greater than bursts of inspiration. You cannot depend on emotion to sustain you. Emotion fades. Principle endures. Marcus wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That is Stoic consistency, to act on what you know is right, especially when no one is watching. Each day you rise, the world will test your resolve. It will tempt you with distraction, with shortcuts, with comfort disguised as rest. The Stoic path is not about rejecting rest, but about knowing the difference between recovery and retreat. Rest is chosen, retreat is surrendered. Consistency means you return to your path every time you fall, not because you feel inspired, but because it is who you are. Think of your discipline as a flame. You do not keep it alive by feeding it fuel all at once, but by tending it daily, patiently, quietly. The Stoics saw this as the art of living, small, steady acts of self-mastery that transform ordinary life into something sacred. Cleanthes wrote, "The road to virtue is steep, but it is not endless. Each step, no matter how small, takes you higher." So hold your course. Let repetition become your ritual, not your prison. Remember that true strength is measured not by intensity, but by endurance. A disciplined life is not made of grand gestures, but of simple, repeated decisions to honor your values. Every sunrise is an invitation to begin again, and every night is proof that you endured. This is the second Stoic lesson, the discipline of consistency. Because greatness is never built in the fire of one day, but in the steady heat of a lifetime.
Lesson 3. The discipline of focus. Focus is the doorway to mastery, and distraction is the quiet thief that keeps it locked. The Stoics knew this long before the world became addicted to noise. They believed that the mind, left unguarded, becomes a battlefield where every trivial thought demands a throne. Marcus Aurelius warned himself, "You become what you give your attention to." If your mind is scattered, your life will follow. The man who cannot hold his focus will never hold his freedom. In a world that feeds on your attention, staying focused has become an act of rebellion. Every beep, every scroll, every endless stream of digital noise, all of it is designed to fragment you. The Stoics would call this modern chaos a test of the soul.
Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery begins with where you place your mind. What you feed grows. What you starve dies. If you feed your distractions, they consume your strength. But if you feed your focus, you reclaim your power. You know this truth already. How many times have you sat down to create, to study, to move towards something important, only to find yourself lost in meaningless loops? The hour gone, the task untouched, the guilt heavy. Focus is not just about attention, it is about allegiance. Every time you give your mind to something unworthy, you betray the life you could be building. Seneca said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." A scattered life cannot be a disciplined one. The Stoics practiced focus as a sacred ritual. They would rise in silence, reflect on what truly mattered, and decide in advance what would earn their attention that day. Marcus wrote each morning to anchor his mind, not to record history, but to strengthen control. He did not allow the day to decide who he would be. He decided first. That is the essence of focus, direction before reaction. In our age of noise, it is the only way to stay human. Focus also means acceptance. You cannot control how the world behaves, but you can control what you let inside. Epictetus compared the mind to a fortress. He said, "If you wish to be invincible, then enter no battle except the one within. Protect your gates. Not every thought deserves entry. Not every battle deserves your blade. Every time you say no to distraction, you say yes to strength." But focus is not sustained by effort alone. It grows through meaning. You must know why your attention matters. When you know what you are serving, you stop chasing everything that shines. The Stoics aligned focus with virtue. They believed the mind should serve what is noble, not what is loud. That is why they trained daily to keep their thoughts in harmony with their purpose. When your purpose is clear, focus becomes effortless. Discipline of focus also demands forgiveness. You will fail, you will drift, but each time you return, you strengthen your will. Marcus wrote, "When you are distracted, return to yourself." That return is power. That return is practice. You are not expected to be perfect. You are expected to come back. Focus is not a prison. It is a home you learn to return to again and again. So guard your attention as you would guard your life, because in many ways it is the same thing. The hours you give to distraction are hours you will never live again. And the hours you give to purpose, those hours become eternity. The Stoics lived this truth every day. They knew that a mind at peace with its focus becomes unshakable, and that a distracted mind becomes its own enemy. This is the third Stoic lesson, the discipline of focus. Because what you choose to look at each day is the story your life will eventually tell.
Lesson 4. The discipline of endurance. Life will test you. Again and again, it will break the rhythm of your plans, steal what you hold dear, and ask, not with words, but with pain, will you endure? The Stoics did not dream of a life without hardship. They trained for the one that was certain to come. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He was not being poetic. He was describing survival. To endure is not to remain untouched by pain. It is to be touched by it, but not destroyed. Stoicism teaches that endurance is not about suppressing emotion, but mastering the response. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold, and adversity tests the brave."
Every storm, every loss, every failure you have endured, they were not interruptions to your path. They were the forge of it. The Stoics believed suffering was not punishment, but preparation. You have felt this, the heartbreak that shattered you, the betrayal that hollowed your chest, the failure that made you doubt your worth. But here you are, breathing. Endurance is the quiet proof of your strength. You may have bent, but you did not break. You may have stumbled, but you still stand. Epictetus, who was born a slave, crippled, and yet became one of history's wisest men, said, "We cannot choose our circumstances, but we can choose how we respond to them." That choice, to endure, is where all power begins. The Stoics viewed life as a gymnasium for the soul. Each hardship was a weight meant to build resilience. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, lost his ship and his fortune in a storm. When asked how he could bear such loss, he said, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered shipwreck." Because that loss led him to philosophy, to wisdom, to peace. The modern mind fears difficulty, but the Stoic embraces it, knowing that the road to virtue is carved through struggle. Endurance is not glamorous. It does not announce itself. It whispers. It is in the man who keeps going when no one believes in him. It is in the woman who rises after every failure, not because she feels strong, but because she has decided not to surrender. Marcus wrote, "When you have trouble getting out of bed, remind yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." That work is endurance, to face life not as a victim, but as a participant. The Stoics did not pray for lighter burdens. They prayed for stronger shoulders. They knew that peace is not found in the absence of difficulty, but in the presence of strength. Endurance is built the same way muscles are, through repetition, resistance, and time. The more you endure, the more capable you become of enduring. Modern science confirms this. Resilience rewires the brain. Every time you face hardship with composure, your mind learns, we can survive this. But endurance is not blind stubbornness. The Stoics taught that it must be guided by wisdom. Seneca said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Endurance means choosing to continue when your path is right and letting go when it no longer serves virtue. It is not clinging to pain, it is transforming it. Every hardship is a messenger, not a master. Ask, what is this teaching me? That question turns endurance into enlightenment. Look at nature. The oak tree bends under the storm, but its roots deepen. The mountain endures wind, rain, and fire, but remains unmoved. The Stoic seeks that same stillness. Life's storms will come. You cannot stop them, but you can stand within them, unshaken, unbroken, alive. That is not denial. That is mastery. This is the fourth Stoic lesson, the discipline of endurance. Because pain is inevitable, but suffering, that is a choice.
Lesson 5. The discipline of urgency. Time, the one resource no one can bargain for, no one can earn back, no one can afford to waste. It slips through our fingers faster than we can count it, and yet we live as if it were infinite. The Stoics saw time as the true currency of life. They feared not death, but wasting the life that remained before it. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." But what does it mean to waste time? Is it the hours lost scrolling through endless noise, the days drowned in distraction, or the years spent waiting for the perfect moment that never comes? Perhaps the greatest tragedy is not that time passes, but that we let it pass unused. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." To live with urgency is not to rush, it is to awaken. It is to finally understand that your days are not guaranteed and that each breath is a choice between sleep and purpose. There is a story told of a young Roman who once came to Epictetus, frustrated by his lack of progress. "I keep delaying," he said. "Tomorrow I will begin my studies. Tomorrow I will be disciplined." Epictetus looked at him quietly and asked, "And when exactly do you think you will begin to live?" The question pierced the boy like a blade, because it revealed what we all try to hide, that we are waiting for a moment that never arrives. Tomorrow is the lie we tell ourselves to avoid the weight of today. Imagine for a moment that you could see the remaining days of your life as grains of sand falling through glass. How carefully would you spend them? Would you argue less? Would you love harder? Would you still waste your time on things that do not matter? The Stoics lived as if death walked beside them, not as a threat, but as a reminder. Seneca called it memento mori, remember you must die, not to darken the soul, but to sharpen it. When you remember that time is fleeing, you stop waiting for courage and begin acting from it. Urgency is not panic, it is presence. It is the quiet realization that you are already late to your own life. The Stoics practiced this awareness daily. Marcus would write each morning as if it might be his last dawn. Epictetus taught his students to greet every moment with the question, "What is within my control right now?" Because in the end, control and time are intertwined. You control nothing beyond this breath. That is why wasting it is the highest form of self-betrayal. We live in an age obsessed with someday. Someday I'll travel. Someday I'll start. Someday I'll become who I'm meant to be. But Stoicism burns that illusion to ash. It says, you are already in the arena. Every delay is a decision to remain idle while your potential rusts. Zeno said, well-being is realized by small steps, but it is truly no small thing. You don't need to leap, you only need to begin, now. Think of every ancient philosopher, every king, every thinker who ever walked this earth. All of them are gone. Their time ended just as ours will. The question is not how much time you have, it's what you will do with what's left. Marcus asked himself daily, what am I doing with my soul? He did not seek comfort, he sought urgency, the kind that demands movement, that demands meaning. And yet the tragedy is this, we know all of this and still delay. We say, after this week, after this month. But what if there is no after? What if this moment is the only one that ever truly existed? The Stoics would say, live as if you were dying, because you are. Slowly, quietly, invisibly. Every second is a flame burning out. You can't slow it. You can only use it. So look around. Every object, every face, every breath, it is all temporary. That is not cause for despair, but for devotion. Life's fragility gives it weight. Time's limit gives it meaning. Seneca wrote, while we are postponing, life speeds by. Don't wait to be ready. Don't wait to be certain. The Stoics believed that readiness is born in motion, not in thought. The moment you begin, the path begins to unfold. This is the fifth Stoic lesson, the discipline of urgency, because the clock has already started, and every hesitation is a quiet surrender of what could have been. But perhaps there is still something deeper, something the Stoics knew that few dare to face, because urgency is only the surface of a greater truth. And that truth, the one that turns urgency into power and power into peace, waits in the next lesson.
Lesson 6. the discipline of purpose. Every action you take, every choice, every hour you spend, it is all guided by something, a vision, a fear, a hunger, a belief. The question is not if you are being guided, but by what. The Stoics understood that without purpose, a man becomes a drifting vessel, moved by every wave, owned by every wind. Seneca wrote, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." And perhaps that is why so many today feel lost, not because the world is cruel, but because they have forgotten where they were sailing in the first place. You wake each morning with 1,000 possibilities before you, yet somehow the day slips away. The hours disappear into noise, and the night arrives heavy with the same emptiness. It is not because you lack time, but because you lack direction. The Stoics taught that a disciplined life begins not with control of the body, but with control of intention. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Let your every action, word, and thought be directed toward one goal, the good of humankind." For fame, choose theater. He was to remind himself, purpose must be chosen daily, deliberately, consciously. But purpose is not something you find in silence or books. It is something you build in the furnace of effort. Zeno, who lost everything in a shipwreck, did not discover philosophy by accident. He found it because his loss forced him to ask the question we all avoid: what now? Purpose, the Stoics would say, is not born from comfort, but from collision. It comes when life breaks your plans and demands that you create meaning from what remains. There is an old story told of Cleanthes, Zeno's student. By day, he carried water for the gardens of Athens. By night, he studied under lamplight, his hands raw, his clothes threadbare. When others mocked him, he said only, "I am watering my soul." That is purpose, to know why you endure. To find strength not in praise or progress, but in alignment. He was not seeking comfort. He was seeking clarity. His work was not in vain because his direction was chosen. Modern life tempts us to scatter our energy, to chase a dozen goals, to become everything and nothing at once. But Stoicism whispers, choose less, do it deeply. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, surrounded by wealth and power, wrote each dawn as if the world had already ended. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, remember, you rise to do the work of a human being. He was not speaking of labor, he was speaking of purpose. The work of a human being is to live with intention, to make meaning with every motion. The Stoics believe purpose is not found in what you do, but why you do it. Two men can perform the same act, one out of fear, one out of love, and their souls will not be the same. Epictetus taught, "Do not explain your philosophy, embody it." He meant that purpose is lived, not spoken. You cannot talk your way into meaning. You must act your way into it. Every day you choose to live by principle, you strengthen your inner citadel, the unshakable core that no misfortune can break.
Yet purpose requires sacrifice. You cannot serve two masters, comfort and meaning. The Stoics knew this well. They sacrificed ease for clarity, pleasure for peace, distraction for destiny. Seneca said, "To live is to war with trolls in the heart, and to set an army of thoughts in array. The war he spoke of was not against others, but within, the war between the self that wants to rest and the self that wants to rise. Discipline of purpose means you know which side you're fighting for. Purpose gives pain a reason. Without it, suffering feels cruel. With it, suffering becomes sacred. Every obstacle becomes material for growth. Marcus called this the Stoic alchemy, turning misfortune into fuel. A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. That fire is purpose. It consumes fear and transforms it into forward motion. The more life throws at you, the brighter you burn. But the danger of purpose is attachment, mistaking the tool for the truth. The Stoics warned that even noble goals can chain you if you cling too tightly. True purpose must evolve as the river does when it meets new terrain. That is why they practice detachment, not to care less, but to serve more freely. Purpose is the compass, not the cage. To cling to one fixed dream is to resist growth. To live stoically is to walk with purpose, but never become possessed by it. You might ask, how do I know my purpose? The Stoics would answer, look where your soul feels at peace and your effort feels alive. It is not in what gives you ease, but in what demands your best. Purpose is not found in what you love doing. It is found in what you are willing to suffer for. That is where your true calling hides, in the intersection between meaning and struggle. So each morning, before the world intrudes, ask yourself the question Marcus once did. What am I doing with my soul? Not your career, not your image, not your comfort, your soul. If your answer does not bring you stillness, begin again, because the clock is ticking, and every breath without direction is another grain of sand lost to time. This is the sixth Stoic lesson, the discipline of purpose. Because time without direction is emptiness, and direction without virtue is chaos. But perhaps there is still something deeper, something beneath purpose itself. A final lesson the Stoics guarded carefully, one that does not just change how you live, but how you see life itself. And that final lesson is where all the others converge, the moment where discipline becomes freedom.
Lesson 7. The discipline of stillness. There is a kind of silence that is not the absence of sound, but the presence of understanding. The Stoics called it ataraxia, a state of inner calm so deep that no external chaos can shake it. And perhaps in this restless century of noise, that is the rarest discipline of all. We chase productivity, passion, motion, but who among us knows how to be still? Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the world, surrounded by armies, noise, and politics, wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." He ruled millions, yet sought silence. You too live in an empire of distraction, and your peace, like his, will never be found out there. Stillness is not idleness. It is not doing nothing. It is doing the right thing with complete presence. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." He meant that when the mind scatters, the soul weakens. Every notification, every worry, every thought of what might go wrong, they all pull you away from the only place where life is truly lived, this moment. The Stoics trained themselves to return again and again to the present, because every breath wasted on what's outside your control is a betrayal of what's within it. Imagine Marcus at night, sitting alone in his tent after battle. The air smells of iron and smoke,
The stars above the Roman frontier are endless. His generals wait for orders. His empire needs decisions. But instead, he opens his journal and writes, quietly, privately, almost in prayer. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That is stillness. Not escape, engagement with clarity. Not denial of the world, dominion over the self. You have your own battlefield. It may not wear armor or carry a sword, but it exists. The job, the deadlines, the expectations, the endless scroll of other people's lives. You wake up, and before your feet touch the ground, you are already at war with your own mind. The Stoics would say, stop fighting, step back, breathe. The battle is not outside of you, it is within. You cannot control the waves, but you can learn to stand still as they crash. The Stoics practiced stillness not through withdrawal, but through awareness. Epictetus said, when something happens, the only thing in your power is your opinion of it. Stillness begins there, at the gate of judgment. Every event, every insult, every fear must pass through that gate before it reaches your peace. Most people leave the gate open. Every emotion storms in, but the Stoic guards it with reason. You cannot stop the wind, but you can close your window. Modern science echoes this ancient truth. The nervous system calms when the mind stops chasing what it cannot control. Focused breathing, reflection, presence. These are not luxuries, they are survival tools. The Stoics discovered what neuroscience now confirms. Peace is not the absence of problems, but the presence of perception. When you stop reacting to everything, you begin to see everything differently. But stillness does not mean silence in the world. It means silence in the self. You can sit in a quiet room and still be in turmoil. You can walk through chaos and still be calm. True stillness is portable. It goes wherever you go. Marcus wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Stillness is simply the art of choosing those thoughts deliberately, patiently, wisely. There is a power in stillness that the world does not understand. It is not passive, it is profound. Stillness gives you vision when emotion blinds you. It gives you patience when anger tempts you. It gives you perspective when fear surrounds you. The Stoics practiced stillness to remain unshaken, not because they were cold, but because they knew that reacting in anger or fear was the first step towards defeat. To cultivate stillness, the Stoics turned to daily reflection. They would ask themselves each night, what did I do well? What did I do poorly? What could I do better tomorrow? That reflection was not judgment, it was purification. The act of seeing oneself clearly, without ego or shame, restores inner order, because a mind in order is a mind at peace. Stillness is the final shield against time's erosion. In stillness, the Stoic sees the world as it is, fleeting, fragile, beautiful. The noise fades, and all that remains is truth. You begin to realize that life's storms are not meant to destroy you, but to reveal the parts of you that cannot be shaken. You stop resisting change. You stop clinging to control. You start living, not as a slave to events, but as a witness to them. This is the seventh Stoic lesson, the discipline of stillness. Because when you master stillness, you stop wasting time on what never mattered. You stop reacting to every shadow. You begin to move through life like a mountain through the clouds, unmoved, unshaken, untouched. And yet, the Stoics hinted at something even deeper, a truth that begins where stillness ends. For what if the greatest peace is not in mastering the world, but in releasing even the need to master it?
Lesson 8. The discipline of letting go. There comes a point when all your striving, all your control, all your effort to shape the world finally begins to crack. You realize that no matter how disciplined, how wise, how prepared you are, some things will simply not bend to your will. People will leave, plans will crumble, time will take what you love most. And in that moment, the Stoics whisper a truth that sounds almost like surrender, but is, in fact, liberation. Make the best use of what is in your power, Epictetus said, and take the rest as it happens. That is not weakness, that is freedom. You have spent years trying to control everything, outcomes, people, even the way others perceive you. But control is a mirage. The Stoics understood this deeply. They called it the dichotomy of control, the dividing line between what belongs to you and what does not. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." It sounds simple, yet it is perhaps the hardest lesson to live, because to accept it fully means admitting how small your control truly is and how vast your peace could become if you stopped resisting that truth. There is a story told of Epictetus and a broken lamp. One day, a thief stole it from his home. His students expected rage. Instead, he said calmly, "He has taken my lamp, not my light." That is the Stoic art of letting go. To understand that loss cannot touch what is truly yours, your character, your judgment, your peace. What is taken from you was never yours to keep, it was only lent by time. The Stoics did not mourn what life removed, they thanked it for reminding them that nothing belongs to us but ourselves. But letting go does not come naturally. The mind clings to memories, to people, to mistakes. You replay what went wrong, what could have been, as if your grief could rewrite the past. It cannot. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Pain is not punishment, it is proof. Proof that you are alive, that you have loved, that you have cared enough for something to lose it. The Stoic does not deny pain, he transforms it into wisdom. To let go is to stop arguing with reality. It is to stand before what is, without bitterness, without resistance, without illusion. Marcus wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." He knew that every attachment we hold too tightly is rooted in the same illusion, that we have time, but we do not, and that is what makes every moment sacred. Letting go is not giving up, it is waking up. Modern psychology agrees. Studies on cognitive flexibility show that peace increases when acceptance replaces resistance. The Stoics discovered this thousands of years earlier. They understood that control is a form of fear, and fear dissolves the moment you trust the flow of life. Epictetus taught, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." That single shift from control to cooperation turns turmoil into tranquility. Imagine standing on the shore, watching the tide pull away something precious, a dream, a relationship, a season of your life. You reach out, desperate to hold it, but the harder you grasp, the more the sea takes. The Stoic does not fight the tide. He bows to it, because he knows the same water that takes also brings. Every ending conceals a beginning. Every loss opens a new space. Letting go is not the end of meaning, it is the creation of it. Seneca compared life to a play. He said, "It matters not how long the play is, but how well it is acted." You do not control the length of your story or even the script, but you control how you perform it. Some scenes end sooner than you wish. Some scenes fade before you are ready. But a wise actor does not cling to the stage. He bows, he thanks the audience, and he leaves with grace. That is the Stoic way. To walk away without resentment, carrying only what you've learned. And yet, letting go is not a single act. It is a lifelong practice, a muscle trained in small moments. You let go of a grudge. You release the need to be right. You forgive what cannot be undone. Slowly, freedom returns. Your shoulders lighten, your breath deepens. The world becomes wide again, because once you stop holding so tightly, your hands are finally free to build, to create, to live. This is the 8th Stoic lesson, the discipline of letting go. Because life is a river, and you cannot step into the same one twice. You can either flow with it or be dragged by it. But the Stoics hinted that even beyond letting go, beyond acceptance, there lies one final discipline, the one that transforms endurance into transcendence. And that final discipline is where all roads lead, the point where philosophy ends and peace begins. Lesson 9. The discipline of acceptance. There is a quiet moment that comes after every loss, after every failure, after every plan collapses. The moment when reality finally stands before you, unmasked. No excuses, no what-ifs, just what is. The Stoics lived for that moment, because in it they found the only freedom that truly matters, the power to accept what cannot be changed and to transform what can. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Welcome whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" Acceptance is not surrender. It is not passivity. It is strength in its most refined form, the courage to stop fighting what is. We waste years resisting life, arguing with it, trying to bend it to our will. But the Stoics knew resistance is suffering. Seneca said, "Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling." You can be led by wisdom or dragged by denial. Either way, the road is the same. The difference is whether you walk it in peace or in pain. Picture Epictetus, once a slave, his leg permanently crippled from the cruelty of his master. Yet he said calmly, "I must die, but must I die groaning?" That is Stoic acceptance, not the denial of pain, but the mastery of response. He did not choose his suffering, but he chose his dignity. The Stoic accepts not because he is weak, but because he is free. Free from the illusion that life owes him anything more than what it gives. You have faced moments like that too. The breakup that shattered your world. The opportunity that vanished just when you thought it was yours. The illness that changed everything. You begged, "Why me?" But what if the Stoics were right? What if the better question is, why not me? Life owes fairness to no one, but meaning, that we can create. Acceptance is the bridge between what happens and what we become. Marcus wrote in his journals, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." That is what acceptance does. It turns pain into purpose. It transforms chaos into clarity. Every hardship becomes fuel. Every disappointment becomes instruction.
When you stop asking life to be easier, you begin asking how to become stronger. And that shift, from resentment to acceptance, is the birth of wisdom. Modern psychology echoes this ancient truth. Acceptance reduces anxiety because it aligns perception with reality. The Stoics called this living in agreement with nature. It means you no longer demand that the world behave according to your desires. You choose to act wisely within it as it is. You stop asking for calm seas and start learning how to sail. That is not giving up. That is growing up. Still, acceptance is not an instant awakening. It is a daily practice, a gradual unlearning of resistance. Marcus would remind himself every morning, "Today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil." And yet, he did not hate them. He accepted them. He saw their flaws as nature, not offense. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means understanding without bitterness. There is a kind of peace that comes when you stop demanding that life be something other than it is, when you can look at what's gone wrong and still whisper, "Thank you." Because every fall revealed your strength, every loss purified your priorities, every wound carved space for something new. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate. Not just enduring what happens, but loving it, trusting that it belongs to your story for a reason. Seneca wrote, "A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." That is not apathy. That is alignment. The Stoic does not seek a perfect life, but a present one. He stands firmly in reality, not in memory, not in fear, not in fantasy, and says, "This is enough." Because peace does not come from fixing the world, it comes from finding stillness within it. But even the Stoics knew acceptance was not the end. It was a threshold, a doorway to something even higher. Acceptance steadies the soul, but there is one more discipline that awakens it completely. Beyond endurance, beyond stillness, beyond letting go, lies the final Stoic truth, the one that does not just make you calm, it makes you whole.
Lesson 10. The discipline of purpose. There is a question that haunts every human being. What am I really doing with my time? Not the hours you work, not the routines that fill your days, but the essence, the invisible purpose behind them. The Stoics believed that to live without purpose was to live half dead. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." And yet, how often do we trade purpose for distraction, calling it busy? Time, that was their obsession, because time is the one currency you cannot earn back. Seneca wrote an entire letter titled On the Shortness of Life, where he said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." He wasn't condemning the lazy, he was warning the lost. Those who confuse movement with meaning, those who spend entire lives running yet never arrive. Imagine your days as sand slipping through your fingers. Every hour gone, not to death, but to drift. The Stoics saw this drift as the greatest danger of all. A man who lacks purpose is like a ship without a rudder. He is at the mercy of every wind, every wave, every demand of the world. Epictetus asked, "Do you not know that a good man does nothing for appearance, but for the sake of doing what is right?" Purpose, for them, was not grand ambition. It was alignment, to live in accordance with nature, to act, not react. But purpose doesn't arrive as revelation. It reveals itself slowly, through discipline. The discipline to ask, why am I doing this? The courage to walk away from what wastes your soul. The Stoics believed that your purpose is not found, it is forged. Zeno found his when he lost everything. Marcus found his in service. Epictetus found his in teaching freedom to those still chained by fear. Each of them began by facing a simple truth. I do not own my time. Time owns me. Seneca said, "We are not given a short life, but we make it so. We are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it." You feel it, don't you? That quiet guilt when another day ends without meaning. The endless scrolling, the empty achievements, the hours sacrificed to noise. The Stoics didn't waste time hating distraction. They transcended it, because they knew attention is the first act of worship. What you give your focus to, you become. Modern science now proves what the ancients intuited, that clarity and purpose strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that resists impulse. Discipline, it turns out, is not willpower, it's wiring. Every time you choose purpose over pleasure, you rewire your mind to focus, to endure, to act. The Stoics called this the cultivation of the hegemonikon, the ruling faculty of reason. To them, that was the essence of human excellence. Marcus wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." That was not a call to urgency, but to presence. To live with purpose is not to rush through life. It is to see life as sacred. Every task, every word, every breath becomes an act of alignment. The Stoics did not seek more time, they sought fuller moments. Yet purpose demands sacrifice. You cannot serve two masters, comfort and meaning. One must die for the other to live. The Stoics knew this paradox well. Cleontes, a poor water carrier turned philosopher, wrote, "Lead me, O Zeus, and thou, O destiny, whithersoever I am appointed to go." He did not resist his calling, even when it led through hardship. Purpose, he knew, was not about pleasure. It was about participation in something greater. You might ask, what is my purpose? The Stoics would smile gently and answer, to live according to virtue. To wake each day and strive to become the person reason tells you to be. To serve the whole, not just yourself. To leave the world slightly better than you found it. That is enough. Because purpose is not found in the grand moments. It's built in the small, consistent acts that align your life with your principles. And yet, even purpose is not the final lesson. Because beneath purpose lies something more silent, more sacred. The Stoics hinted at it, but rarely spoke its name. It is the state beyond striving, beyond fear, even beyond discipline. The final lesson, the one that Marcus faced in his last days when all power and philosophy faded into one truth, the acceptance of mortality itself. That is where all Stoic wisdom points. That is where the promise of this journey, of not wasting your time, of mastering your discipline, finds its end. Not in doing more, but in being free. The next lesson will not just speak of life, it will speak of the peace that waits beyond it.
Lesson 11. The discipline of freedom. After every struggle, every lesson, every moment of discipline, there comes a final threshold. The Stoics called it autarkia, self-sufficiency, inner freedom, the ultimate mastery over the mind and spirit. Marcus Aurelius faced this truth in his final days, ruling an empire, yet recognizing that no throne, no wealth, no victory could buy the one thing that matters: peace of mind. He wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And the irony is that life's truest freedom is found when all attachments are released, when all illusions of control dissolve, when you finally say, "Enough, I am here, I am present, I am whole." You have chased control, purpose, discipline, and meaning, believing that if you could conquer all external chaos, you would finally rest. But the Stoics knew that no external conquest can liberate the mind. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not the absence of obstacles, it is the mastery over your responses to them. It is not to command the world, but to command your inner citadel, the mind that can remain serene while storms rage outside. Think of Marcus sitting alone in his tent, the weight of Rome on his shoulders, his empire threatened on every border, advisors scheming, soldiers dying. And yet he wrote, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." That is the Stoic discipline of freedom, the ability to remain unmoved, unshaken, untouched, not by chance, but by choice. You have felt the opposite, haven't you? The panic when plans fail, the rage when life defies expectations, the despair when control slips. That is the slavery most of us live in, not chains on the wrists, but chains on the mind. And every time you react without reason, you tighten them further. Freedom is the awareness that nothing external can dictate your inner state unless you allow it. Acceptance, letting go, stillness, purpose, endurance, all the disciplines you have practiced converge here. Each was a key, each a step, and now the door opens. The Stoics would tell you, the mind is the final frontier. Conquer it, and the world is already yours. Not in wealth, not in fame, but in serenity. For a mind free from fear, from desire, from illusion, lives fully and dies fully, without regret. Imagine standing on a cliff at sunrise, wind tearing at your robes, the ocean crashing below. The world rages around you, storms, chaos, uncertainty, and yet you feel nothing but calm. Not because the world has ceased, but because you have ceased to be ruled by it. That is freedom. The Stoics practiced it daily, not as an idea, but as a lived reality. Every meditation, every reflection, every disciplined act was a step toward this moment where the self and the universe align. And freedom is not isolation. It is engagement without attachment. It is to love, to act, to serve, to strive, without being enslaved by fear, desire, or expectation. Marcus wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig." True freedom is the treasure buried in the soul, discovered not through power or pleasure, but through discipline, reflection, and courage. The Stoics knew that most men live in shadows, trapped by circumstance, trapped by emotion, trapped by illusion. But the wise man steps into the light. He does not flee the storm, he stands within it. He does not seek to control others, he controls himself. He does not fear death, he welcomes life in full measure, knowing every moment is his to own, even the last. You have walked through beginnings and consistency, focus, endurance, urgency and purpose, stillness and letting go, acceptance. You have learned the disciplines, And now you arrive at the final truth. Freedom is not found in doing more, achieving more, controlling more. Freedom is found in mastery. Mastery over the mind, mastery over the self, mastery over the illusions that bind you. This is the 11th and final Stoic lesson, the discipline of freedom. The discipline that transforms all your struggles into peace, all your efforts into serenity, all your life into presence. The moment you master this, you no longer chase life, you live it. And in that living, you finally discover the promise that began this journey, a life fully disciplined, fully awake, fully free. And yet, as with all Stoic truths, freedom is not a destination, it is a practice, a daily act of courage, a quiet choice repeated every morning and every night. That is the final invitation to stand, to breathe, to act, and to live as the Stoics did, entirely in harmony with your own soul.
Lesson 12. The discipline of reflection. Even the Stoics, masters of reason and discipline, knew that life moves fast, that moments slip past what we are busy acting, enduring, achieving. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Reflection is the discipline that allows you to pause, to examine, to measure the soul's alignment with virtue. Without it, even freedom can become hollow, purpose can fade, and time, no matter how well spent, can feel wasted. Reflection is more than thinking, it is witnessing. To reflect is to step back from the torrent of your own mind and observe, without judgment, without denial, what has happened, what has been chosen, what has been felt. Seneca said, "Every night, before you go to sleep, ask yourself, what wrong did I avoid today? What good did I do?" This is the act of holding a mirror to the soul, not to condemn, but to understand. It is the lens through which every discipline converges into clarity. Imagine standing at the edge of a river at twilight, watching the water carry leaves, branches, memories downstream. Every leaf is a day, a choice, a consequence. Reflection is the act of noticing, naming, and learning from each one, so that tomorrow you may guide the river with awareness rather than be swept along blindly. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Without reflection, the what becomes lost in action. The do loses meaning. Reflection also reveals what the Stoics called the hegemonikon, the ruling faculty of the mind. It shows where judgment has been wise and where it has been clouded by emotion. Every mistake, every impulsive reaction, every failure to act with virtue becomes raw material for growth. Modern psychology confirms this. Self-monitoring strengthens the prefrontal cortex, improves impulse control, and rewires behavior. The Stoics called it the cultivation of the soul. Yet reflection requires courage. It asks you to see yourself honestly, to confront failure without excuse, to measure the gap between who you are and who you wish to become. Marcus wrote, "Do not let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Do not fill your mind with all you lack, but all you have achieved and can still achieve." Reflection is not self-flagellation. It is illumination. It reveals both shadows and light. And in that revelation, transformation begins. Daily reflection is a practice of continuity. The Stoics journaled, meditated, and conversed precisely to keep the mind aligned. They knew that life's lessons are fleeting. Without attention, the day's victories, mistakes, and insights dissolve into oblivion. Reflection captures them, integrates them, and transforms them into wisdom. Every night, every pause, every quiet moment is a chance to sharpen the mind and strengthen the soul. Reflection also connects time to eternity. Marcus Aurelius often contemplated the brevity of life and the vastness of nature simultaneously. He saw that his actions were small but meaningful in the rhythm of the universe. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Reflection prevents waste. It measures moments, extracts lessons, and ensures that each day contributes to a life fully lived. But reflection is not merely about the past. It is about preparation for the future, the discipline of foresight. Epictetus instructed, "Prepare your mind as a soldier prepares his arms." Reflection trains you to anticipate challenges, to weigh decisions, to align your actions with virtue before circumstances demand it. It is the map by which you navigate the chaos of life, turning chance into choice and reaction into mastery. Even in reflection, the Stoics sought stillness. To see clearly, one must remove distraction, desire, and judgment. The mind must become a calm pond, reflecting the sky without distortion. This is why they practiced meditation, journaling, and solitude to create the conditions for true self-observation. Modern neuroscience calls this metacognition, the ability to think about thinking, and confirms its link to emotional resilience, decision-making, and mental clarity. Reflection is not the end. It is the stage upon which all other disciplines converge. Discipline, focus, endurance, purpose, stillness, letting go, acceptance, and freedom. Each is strengthened when examined. Each becomes coherent when reviewed. Reflection is the loom on which the threads of life are woven into a pattern meaningful and true. Without it, even mastery risks becoming routine. Even freedom risks becoming hollow. Even purpose risks becoming drift. And yet, as the Stoics teach, reflection is also a doorway, a door leading beyond the self. For in honest reflection, one begins to glimpse the limits of ego, the illusions of control, the impermanence of all things. The mind, sharpened by reflection, begins to see life not as a series of struggles, but as a single unfolding narrative. And at the threshold of this narrative lies the final, ultimate discipline, the one that makes all previous lessons not just practiced, but lived. And that final discipline, where reflection meets acceptance, where purpose merges with freedom, where discipline dissolves into peace, is the culmination of Stoic mastery. It is the last secret, the deepest truth, the promise held in the very title of this journey: to stop wasting time, to build discipline, and to live fully, awake, and unshakable. And it is there, beyond reflection, beyond mastery, that the final lesson waits, ready to reveal itself.
Lesson 13. The discipline of presence. After every step, every lesson, every discipline you have practiced, the Stoics leave you with this: the moment before you now. Presence. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, not the echoes of regret or the anxieties of anticipation, but the here and now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." He was not teaching mindfulness as a trend. He was teaching survival, mastery, and liberation.
For it is in presence that all other disciplines find their power. Without it, purpose falters, freedom wavers, and even reflection becomes mere thought without grounding. Presence is a discipline because it demands constant effort. Your mind resists it, always tugging you toward past mistakes, future fears, and imagined desires. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have little time, but that we waste much of it." Wasting time is not simply doing nothing, it is failing to inhabit the only place where life is lived. The Stoics cultivated presence as a garden, returning to it daily, nurturing it with attention, patience, and self-control. Imagine Epictetus teaching his students while a storm raged outside. The winds howled, the streets flooded, chaos erupted. And yet he spoke, calm, deliberate, entirely absorbed in the lesson, unaffected by distraction. That is presence. To be fully here, fully aware, fully engaged in every breath, every thought, every act. It is the ability to act with virtue in the midst of distraction, to endure the storms without being swept away, to live fully in a world that constantly demands our mind elsewhere. Presence also transforms perception. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The present is the only arena where obstacles can be transformed into opportunity. A distraction becomes a chance to practice patience. A challenge becomes a test of endurance. An insult becomes a lesson in composure. Without presence, these moments pass unnoticed. With it, every moment is a teacher, every trial a guide. The modern world constantly pulls against presence: notifications, schedules, comparisons, endless noise. Yet the Stoics teach that presence is not about escape. It is not withdrawal. It is full engagement with life exactly as it is. Epictetus wrote, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well." Presence allows you to act decisively within reality rather than chasing illusions of control. Presence is also the discipline that completes all others. Focus without presence is obsession. Purpose without presence is drift. Stillness without presence is numbness. Letting go without presence is avoidance. Acceptance without presence is resignation. Presence binds every lesson, every effort, every discipline into coherent living wisdom. It is the lens through which life's chaos becomes order, its pain becomes instruction, its fleetingness becomes precious. Imagine standing at the edge of your life, fully awake. You see every loss, every failure, every fear, and yet you feel none of their chains. You feel only clarity, only engagement, only the unshakable knowledge that the only moment that matters is this one. The Stoics called this mastery. Not mastery over the world, but mastery over self. Not mastery over events, but mastery over perception. The present becomes your citadel, your fortress, your refuge, your power. This is the 13th Stoic lesson, the discipline of presence. Because presence is not a momentary escape, but a lifelong practice. It is where the promise of this journey comes alive, to stop wasting time, to build your discipline, to endure, to act, to reflect, to release, to accept, to be free, all in the fullness of now. And yet, presence is not the end. The Stoics hint at something beyond it, something quieter, deeper, and infinitely more transformative. A discipline that does not merely guide action or sharpen mind, but touches the soul itself.